Yeah, so I have 19 minutes left on my phone. So for the remaining 19 minutes, I will read 4 pages of Lord of the Rings. I'm only going to read 4 pages and I'm done. I'll read 4 pages, and then there's a good chance I'll have a good, like, I don't know. To read 4 pages will take me a good 10 minutes around there. And for the remaining time I have left, I'll babble on. I'll talk about other things about Sky Source. So I'll read from 180 to page 183. Then I'll stop it, and then tomorrow I'll read another 4 or 5 pages. And the day after that, I should finish the chapter of the Baronowns. When Furl and them are trapped in the Baronowns, right? Right. The air was silent, heavy, and chill. Their ponies were standing crowded together with their heads down. The hobbits sprang to their feet in alarm and ran to the western rim. They found that they were upon an island in the fog. Even as they looked out into dismay towards the setting sun, it sank before their eyes into a white sea, and a cold gray shadow sprang up in the east behind. The fog rolled up to the walls and rose above them, and as it mounted it bent over their heads until it became a roof. They were shut in a hall of mist whose central pillar was a standing stone. They felt as if a trap was closing about them, but they did not quite lose heart. They still remembered the hopeful view they had had of the line of the road ahead, and they still knew in which direction it lay. In any case, they had so great a dislike for that hollow place about the stone that no thought of remaining there was in their minds. They packed up as quickly as their chilled fingers would work. Soon they were leading their ponies in single file over the rim and down the long northward slope of the hill, down into a foggy sea. As they went down, the mist became colder and damper, and their hair hung lank and dripping on their foreheads. When they reached the bottom, it was so chill that they also. J.R.R. Tolkien's describing their journey through the Barrow Downs, through the mist, through the fog. You know what I'm saying, I believe they get trapped in the Barrow Downs too. So the Barrow Downs is like some enchanted place or something like that. Because four of them get trapped in the Barrow Downs, right? I believe Tom Bombadil rescues him. Again, if I make an error, you got to bear with me, fans, right? When they reached the bottom, it was so chill, right, that they halted and got out cloaks and hoods, which soon became bedewed with great drops. They then mounting their ponies, they went slowly on again, feeling their way by the rise and fall of the ground. They were steering as well as they could guess for the gate-like opening at the far northward end of the long valley, which they had seen in the morning. Once they were through the gap, they had only to keep in on anything like a straight line, and they were bound in the end to strike the road. Their thoughts did not go beyond it, except for a vague hope that perhaps away beyond the downs there might be no fog. Their going was very slow to prevent their getting separated, and wandering in different directions they went in file, with Frodo leading. Sam was behind him, and after him came Pippin and then Merry. The valley seemed to stretch on endlessly. Suddenly Frodo saw a hopeful sign. On either side ahead, a darkness began to loom through the mist, and he guessed that they were at last approaching the gap in the hills, and the north gate of the Barrow Downs. If they could pass that, they would be free. Come on, follow me, he called back over his shoulder, and he hurried forward. His hope soon changed to bewilderment and alarm. The dark patches grew darker, but they shrank, and suddenly he saw towering ominous before him, and leaning slightly towards one another like pillars of a headless door, two huge standing stones. He could not remember having seen any sign of these in the valley. When he looked out from the hill in the morning, he had passed between them, almost before he was aware. And even as he did so, darkness seemed to fall around him. His pony reared and snorted, and he fell off. When he looked back, he found that he was alone. The others had not followed him. Sam, he called. Pippin, Merry, come along. Why don't you keep up? There was no answer. Fear took him, and he ran back past the stone. So Frodo, what? Frodo lost what? He lost what? So when Frodo and them journeyed through the Barrow Downs, Frodo lost connection with Sam, Pippin, and Merry. He's calling to them and he doesn't hear any answer, obviously. Hence, yeah, they get trapped in the Barrow Downs. Or something like that. The Barrow Downs is some, I don't know, enchanted place or something like that. Why don't you keep up? There was no answer. Fear took him and he ran back past the stone, shouting wildly, Sam, Sam, Mary, Pippin. So he's looking for Sam, Mary, and Pippin, right? No answer, right? The pony bolted into the mist and vanished. From some way off, or so it seemed, he thought he heard a cry. Hoy, Frodo, hoy! It was away eastward. On his left, as he stood under the great stones, staring and straining into the gloom, he plunged off in the direction of the call, and found himself going steeply uphill. As he struggled on, he called again, and kept on calling more and more frantically, but he heard no answer for some time, and then it seemed faint and far ahead, and high above him. I believe it's either Frodo who rescues the hobbits, or it's Tom Bombadil, if I remember. I don't remember, man. It's been a while. But he heard no answer for some time, and then it seemed faint and far ahead and high above him. Frodo, hoy! Came the thin voice out of the mist, and then a cry that sounded like help, help, often repeated, ending with a last help that trailed off into a long well. Suddenly cut short. He stumbled forward with all the speed he could towards the cries. So Frodo hears the voice, obviously, right? But the light was now gone and clean. So Frodo was surrounded by darkness. He's looking for Merry, Sam, and Pippin. He can't find them. You know what I'm saying? And he hears a voice. He hears cries in the voice, obviously. 2 more pages and I'll finish it here, obviously. Night had closed about him so that it was impossible to be sure of any direction. So Frodo was surrounded by darkness, obviously, right? He seemed all the time to be climbing up and up. Only the change in level of the ground at his feet told him when he was at last came to the top of the ridge of the hill. He was weary, sweating, and yet chilled. It was wholly dark. Where are you? He cried out miserably. There was no reply. He stood listening. He was suddenly aware that it was very, very cold. Up here a wind was beginning to blow, an icy wind. A change was coming in the weather. This mist was flowing past him now in shreds and tatters. His breath was smoking and the darkness was less near and thick. He looked up and saw with surprise that faint stars were appearing overhead amidst the strands of hurrying cloud and fog. The wind began to hiss over the grass, obviously. He imagined suddenly that he caught a muffled cry, and he made towards it. And even as he went forward, the mist was rolled up and thrust aside. The starry sky was unveiled. A glance showed him that he was now facing southwards, and was on a round hilltop, which he must have climbed from the north. Out of the east the biting wind was blowing. To his right there loomed, against the westward stars, a dark black shape. A great bear stood there. Where are you? He cried again. So Frodo sees a dark black shape, obviously, right? A great bear stood there. Where are you? He cried again, both angry and afraid. Here, said a voice, deep and cold, that seemed to come out of the ground. I am waiting for you. So Frodo hears some voice within the darkness in the Barrow Downs, obviously. That's talking back to him, obviously, right? No, said Frodo, but he did not run away. His knees gave and he fell on the ground. Nothing happened, and there was no sound. Trembling, he looked up. So Frodo's afraid, obviously, right? In time to see a tall, dark figure like a shadow against the stars. He leaned over him. He thought there were 2 eyes, very cold, though lit with a pale light that seemed to come from some remote distance. Then a grip stronger and colder than iron seized him. The icy touch froze his bones, and he remembered no more, obviously. Right? Right. So the cold, obviously, right? So there's something in the Barrow Downs that seized Frodo. It touched, it freezed his bones, and it made him didn't remember much, obviously. When he came to himself again for a moment, he could recall nothing except a sense of dread. Then suddenly he knew that he was imprisoned, caught hopelessly. He was in a barrow. A Barrow Wight had taken him. So he's trapped in the Barrow Downs. So they're trapped in the Barrow Downs. A Barrow Wight had taken him, and he was probably already under some dreadful spells as the Barrow was. Yeah, so the Barrow Downs is like an enchanted place, obviously. Frodo hears voices, he sees a figure, you know what I'm saying? Then he finds out that he finds out later on that he's trapped, he can't find his friends, you know what I'm saying? Because it's an enchanted place, obviously. Then suddenly he knew that he was in prison, caught hopelessly. He was in a barrow. A Barrow Wight had taken him, and he was probably already under the dreadful spells of the Barrow Wights. Told you, it's an enchanted place, obviously, about which whispered tale spoke. He dared not move, but lay as he found himself, flat on his back upon a cold stone with his hands on his breast. But though his fear was so great that it seemed to be part of the very darkness that was around him, He found himself as he lay thinking about Bilbo Baggins and the stories of their jogging along together in the lanes of the Shire, right? And talking about roads and adventures. There was a seed of courage hidden, often deeply, it is true, in the heart of the fastest and most timid hobbit, waiting for some final and desperate danger to make it grow. Frodo was neither very fat nor very timid. Indeed, though he did not know it, Bilbo and Gandalf had thought him the best hobbit in the Shire. He thought he had come to the end of his adventure, a terrible end, but the thought hardened him. He found himself stiffening, as if for final spring he no longer felt limp like a helpless gray. As he lay there thinking and getting a hold of himself, he noticed all at once that the darkness was slowly giving away. A pale green light was growing around him. It did not at first show him what kind of a place he was in, but the light seemed to be coming out of himself and from the floor up beside him, and had not yet reached the roof or wall. He turned, and there in the cold glow he saw lying beside him Sam, Pippin, and Merry. They were on their backs, and their faces looked deathly pale, and they were clad in white. About them lay many treasures of gold, maybe, though in that light they looked cold and unlovely. On their heads were circlets. Gold chains were about their wrists, and on their fingers were many rings. Swords lay by their sides, and shields were at their feet. But across their three necks lay but one long naked sword. Now end it there. So what? So what did we read so far? So Frodo and them take the path through what? The Barrow Downs, obviously. They take the path through the valley, Barrow Downs, you know what I'm saying? And then Frodo, they eventually get trapped in the Barrow Downs. The Barrow Downs is like an enchanted place, pretty much. Frodo goes through the hill, through the valley, you know what I'm saying? He's surrounded by darkness. He loses contact with Merry, Pippin, and Sam, because Merry, Pippin, and Sam fall under under the spell of the Barrow Wights, whatever it is. Frodo hears a voice calling to him. He sees a figure, you know what I'm saying? He sees a change in weather, all that stuff in the Barrow Wights, whatever the Barrow Downs, whatever it is. He finds out later on that he's imprisoned by the Barrow Wights. That the Barrow Wights is an enchanted place, and he ends up finding Merry, Pippin, and Sam lying on their backs right beside him. They're also under the spell. He sees weapons and all that stuff, and I believe Tom Bombadil ends up rescuing them from the Barrow Wights, whatever it is. And that pretty much what sums up what J.R.R. Tolkien. So Frodo's pretty much gets what? All the hobbits get imprisoned or captured, whatever it is. They fall under the spell of the Barrow Wights, whatever. The Barrow Wights is like some enchanted place. Frodo hears voices. He sees a figure and all stuff. And he finds it later on. He's trapped in the Barrow Wights and all stuff. And I believe Tom Bombadil comes in and rescues him. My theory is Tom Bombadil was able to rescue them because Tom Bombadil is not affected by that stuff. Because Tom Bombadil is not affected from the magic of the ring. I believe Tom Bombadil was also not affected by the magic of the Barrow Downs. Hence why he was able to what? He was not affected by the spells, hence why he was able to rescue them. If he rescues them, I may be wrong. All you Lord of the Rings fans, you gotta bear with me. I don't know if Tom Bombadil rescues them. I don't remember. But from what I remember, Tom Bombadil rescues the hobbits from the Barrow Downs. If I'm correct. From the fog of the Barrow Downs, obviously. So to end it off here, I have a good, 5.5 minutes left, whatever it is, 6 minutes left, whatever it is. 5.5 minutes left. I'll babble on. My SkySource company will be a top-notch company. You're looking at a company bigger than Disney, Warner Bros., Universal, all these companies, man. When I mean, look, guys, I'm not playing around. When I say my company will be bigger than all these companies, I really mean it, man. My SkySource company will be a bigger company than Disney, Warner. These companies are fucking big, man. They put out top, high-end, big-budget movies. And yet my SkySource company will be bigger than all these Hollywood companies. You guys already know. You can see the footage. You already know how top-notch my Last of Us Aliens movie is. You're looking at a better quality movie than all these Hollywood movies. You're looking at a bigger company than Hollywood, man. That's how big my company is. And all these Hollywood actors are actually going to desperately try and be in my movie. My company is the only company independent from the Hollywood system that can actually compete with Hollywood. There's no company independent from the Hollywood system can compete with Hollywood in terms of salaries, all that stuff. Quality, budget, you know what I'm saying, technology, except for SkySource. SkySource is the only company that can compete with the Hollywood companies. Easily compete with the Hollywood companies. Compete with salaries, technology, quality of the movies, all that stuff. Perks. Easily compete with the Hollywood companies. Hence why my company will be what? The best brand in the entertainment industry. You might hear some noise upstairs, obviously. I'm going to keep saying this, man. You already know how top-notch of a $100 million rooftop condo me and my wife are going to own. We're going to own a super advanced. You're looking at something top notch, man. We're going to own a super advanced, like $100 million rooftop condo, man. I'm saying. I know you guys love it when I talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Even though I've been pretty humble on myself, I love to brag because I want you guys to know how much I fucking deserve this. It's the fact that you guys put me and wife through this. The reason why I brag so much about my life I'm going to be living is because I want you guys to know how much I fucking deserve after what you're going to put me through, man. After what you put me and wife through, me and wife fucking deserve this life. We fucking deserve it because you guys are fucking wicked people. You're fucking wicked people. Yeah. You guys already know how top notch of a 100 million with the common own. You're looking at something. I'm gonna keep saying this. Remember Iron Man, Tony Stark, Iron Man, the movie. Remember how you own that top high end house, a top notch 100 million high end house. Well, think of what? Think of a condo on the same level as that. You're looking at something high tech garage, super advanced high tech garage, high tech pool, luxury pool, terrace, living room, private IMAX theater. I'm gonna own my own IMAX here. IMAX is the best technology for movies. Something high tech, top notch what? Jacuzzi, top notch bathrooms, high tech bathroom. I'm gonna have high tech bathroom, high tech room. I mean, warm me up from me sleeping. A high tech room, a high tech bathroom, high tech shower. Everything is fucking high tech, man. Hence why these actors are gonna, when they walk into the car, they're gonna be like, "Holy shit, man! This is a nice crib you got here, Ivy. This is nice." And they're all gonna brag. They're all gonna tell us Hollywood actors, whenever filming is completed, and they all go back to Hollywood. They're all gonna tell these Hollywood actors, "Yeah, man, I partied up at Ivan's condo. Ivan and VJ own this top high end condo I've been to is like top high end 100 like $20 million condo. He owns this top high end condo, this top notch jet, this top high end office, this top notch yacht. We did this top high end yacht." They're all gonna brag, obviously. And that's why all these actors are all gonna so desperately try and be in all me and wife's movies. Because me and wife's company will be the best brand in your business, obviously. You're looking at a top high end brand. And you guys already know, you can see the future. You already know how top notch my movies are gonna be, better quality than Hollywood. You know how boss we are gonna be. You know how top notch what. You know how good all my 5 movies are gonna be. You can see the future. You know how good all my 5 movies are gonna be. You already know how scary Airtad is. Because I have the keys, you can see the future. You know what. You know in a couple of years I'm gonna start the process of Last of Us movie. And you know how top notch of a company I'm gonna own, obviously. I'm gonna keep saying this. There's a high chance for Last of Us movie. I'm gonna keep saying this. I will hire a director, and if I do, I will have Peter Jackson and Mel Gibson compete for the role. I'll pay them a nice $4 million. And whoever's chosen, they'll be co-writing the script with me and doing the concerts with me. I also have them be my executive producers. And they're gonna be the lucky ones are gonna be saved. And they're gonna be the lucky ones who are gonna get to direct the Last of Us amazing story. Because once I read my book, they're never gonna be the same. And they're all gonna want to get their hands on my story. Once those 2 directors read my book, they're all gonna want to get their hands on my story. It looks something crazy. You're looking at the best story ever told, best fantasy story ever told, obviously. And not only that, Peter Jackson, Mel Gibson, if they're whoever's chosen for my movie, if I hire a director, they get to work with an unlimited budget, as I'm putting $550 million towards the movie, and that doesn't include salaries. Hence, you're looking at an unlimited budget, $380 million towards special effects, $30 million plus, $35 million towards set building, $40 million towards extras. You can hire 6,000 extras easy. 30 plus million towards costumes and weapons. Look at something high tech, man. I'm actually gonna have tens of thousands of extras for the war. You're looking at something high tech. Tens of thousands of extras for the gatherings. And it's Peter Jackson then will have what? An unlimited budget. Hence why if they're chosen, they're the lucky ones, obviously. And hence why even those directors, if they're chosen, one of those guys are chosen, even they're gonna beg their asses off me wanting to resign them because skyscrapers are better in Hollywood. They were spoiled. At the same time, they got paid their free millions. They know what it's like to make a lot of money and to be free. Whereas in Hollywood, they're going to go back to being dirty slaves and make their dirty millions. Hence why all the Hollywood actors are going to so badly want to work for my company. And hence why they all watch my videos for comfort, because a lot of them are miserable because they're dirty slaves in Hollywood. Hence why they're all going to so badly want to work for me and my wife, obviously. Well, stay tuned for my next video where I'll be making my continuation of my chapter 8 of In the Fog of the Barrow Downs, which is my Lord of the Rings readalong. So Ivan Omer, I'm signing out. Peace.